Okay, how you doing, everybody? My name is Frank Bichetta, and I'm making this video. This is an introduction video to my website. I think that this video is gonna save people a lot of time. I know anybody that comes to my site is in the market for a food truck or very interested, to say the least, in getting into the food truck business. And I know there's a lot of misinformation out there. It's hard to navigate, okay, because there's just a lot of confusing things about the business. So I decided I'm putting together this video to help people out, all right, to save them a lot of time from doing a lot of research, um, be able to get information from somebody that's actually been in the food business since I was 11 years old. I started out with my father, who owned a diner. It was a family business, and I'm in my late 50s now, so I think I have a lot of experience and a lot to offer as far as knowledge goes in the food business. So what I wanted to do is give it to you straight, okay? Ultimately, I have a truck for sale, a food truck, a mobile kitchen that I believe is the best mobile kitchen that you will find, and ultimately I'd like to sell it, but I'm also uh, going to give you free information that will save you a lot of time. Okay, so let's start with a few of the things that people probably just wonder about when they're first doing their research. Question: why do you see so many different food trucks for so many different prices that vary anywhere from like $5,000 up to 80,000 or even more if you're buying brand new? Okay, well let me explain this to you so you understand. Okay, there are different types of food trucks. There are mobile kitchens. There are hot dog trucks that just, don't have a whole lot of equipment in them. Um, there are trucks that are very limited, okay? And then there's trucks that have uh, almost as much equipment in as you would find in a restaurant, okay? Um, and this is one of the reasons why they will vary in price. You don't notice until you actually go out there and start looking at the trucks that are advertised. I remember when I first started going out and looking at trucks. Of course, you're going to look at the cheaper ones first. You want to, hope that you get a good deal. So you go look at the cheaper ones first. I could tell you some stories where I traveled from New Jersey all the way to Brooklyn, for a $5,000-6,000 truck, and the truck wasn't even running. I was so disappointed when I got there. I drove all the way over there, and it turns out that the truck was just a total junk. Okay. Um, and I've seen trucks that are like totally maxed out. Okay, here's what it boils down to. Okay, it boils down to how much money can you make with the equipment that you're buying. Okay, to give you an example, if you had a food truck that just has steam tables in it, something like that might only be good for vending hot dogs or food of that nature. Okay, you don't have a griddle in there, you don't have deep fryers in there, you don't have much of the burners in there or anything like where you can cook any other type of food. Um, so, if you're just working a hot dog truck, I mean, for some people that might be good, that are retired. Maybe they just want to work a couple days a week or a couple hours during lunch hour. But if you sit down and you do the math, okay, you're going to see for yourself that, you're not going to really make any significant money with a hot dog truck. If the average person buys two hot dogs and a soda, and the tab is like $5 or $6, okay, for two hot dogs and a soda. Now, not all of that's going to be profit. There is a lot of profit in it, but when you start putting your insurance in there and everything else that you put in there, there's not a whole lot of profit. But even if 50% of it was profit, that's $3. And then if you multiply that out by how many sales that you would have to make just to gross, let's say, $300 for the day, okay, that would be like 100 people, okay? Um, and even at 100 people, um, it's not going to all be profit, okay? So a hot dog truck is not going to make you a lot of money. I know you've heard stories. Some people get rich. They stick their cash in a mattress. I've heard it all. But, for every success story, there's going to be 10,000 failures. Okay. Whereas on the other hand, um, if you had a mobile kitchen, something that's really nice, has a lot of equipment in it, okay, you would be able to do the high volume events. You would be able, and that's where the money is. You'd be able to do catering. Um, you'd be able to get better work locations with a mobile kitchen, and you'll make a lot more money. A mobile kitchen is capable of making $5,000 cash a week. That's 20 grand a month cash. Okay, so there is a big difference in the equipment. Okay, you're gonna see that you're probably better off if you have the money with going with something with a little bit more quality that costs more money, because in the long run, the cost of your truck is going to be insignificant based on the amount of money that you're actually making. Let's face it, if you're making 20 grand a month, um, and let's say your truck costs 80,000 or $60,000, that's insignificant compared to the money you're going to make with that truck. So if you had your choice, to buy a $15,000 hot dog truck or $20,000 hot dog truck, that's going to take you 10 years to pay it off, and you're only probably going to make about, you know, $600 a week with it, working 8 hours a day. You're probably in a bad spot. You don't want to do that. Okay. Um, and the sad part about this is most of the people that are watching this video right now are in that category. They just don't have the money to spend, so they want to start out with something that's very low priced. Okay, let me move on to the next question. Okay, how much money do you really want to make? Okay, that's up to you. If you are the type of person that's retired, or you just want a few hours, this is a social experiment for you, then you may want to go with a food truck or something of that nature. Okay, if you're looking for something a lot more, then like I said, the mobile kitchen would be best. Um, okay, the next question that I usually get about permits, locations to vend, and health inspections. Okay, let me explain this in a nutshell, because it's a little confusing for a lot of people, and it really isn't confusing. All right. Uh, the townships, the different cities that you go into, okay, they view food trucks the same way that they view pizzerias, restaurants, and so on and so forth. Okay, whenever you open up a restaurant, a pizzeria, or anything of that nature, okay, you have to go to the zoning board, okay, and you have to get it approved, your application approved with them of where you're going to be doing business. Okay, you may have to have a fire inspection. So you go to the fire department and all these different departments that you go to, including the health department, to get your business inspected, to get final approval for your permits to operate. Okay. Now, with this in mind, okay, wherever you want to do business, you're going to go into that local town, okay, and where they issue the permits at the city hall, okay, and they have an application there for you. The application is probably going to be about a 6-part application or something of that nature, and it's going to have all the different departments that you got to gather information from, fill it out, bring it back to that one permits department. Then it gets approved by each individual department, and then finally the permits department, once it's approved by all the individual departments, they will approve it, and then you got your permits. As far as the health permits go, okay, it's pretty simple. The health inspectors, when they come out, okay, they want to know, are you cooking at the proper temperature? Are your refrigerator and freezers at the proper temperature? Do you have thermometers in each one of those uh, departments, where you can tell? They want a big thing for them is the amount of sinks that you have, okay? Uh, Usually I would say a minimum of 3 sinks, you know. Uh, some towns will require 4. But basically, 3 would be your minimum. My truck has 5, by the way, and then it also has a 6th hand washing sink. So you got your soapy water, your rinse water, your drain water, drain sink, and then, you know, Those are your sinks, your hand sink. So as long as you have the number of sinks and you have your proper temperature, those are your main items. Okay, they're going to give you a list of everything that you need. And you just go through the list and make sure your truck is set up for that. The key is the sinks. When you buy a truck, one of the keys is the sinks. And your refrigeration has to be at a certain temperature. If you got steam tables, they got to be at a certain temperature. All of this is written out for you in their, pamphlet that they will give you. As far as rules, there are some rules in different towns. Those rules will vary. The health department rules are pretty much the same. There will be some slight variation from town to town, from state to state, but for the most part, it's about the same. The other individual rules, you know, some allow food trucks, some don't. You just have to check where you're going to be. Okay. People get too hung up on the permits, the rules of the town. Okay. When you have a food truck or mobile kitchen, you could pretty much do any event with those mobile kitchens. And there are millions of events. Okay. And that's the difference between a cheap truck and a truck that's a quality truck like mine. Okay, with a quality truck that's professionally done, um, you can do catering jobs with that truck. Whereas with a hot dog truck, who's going to want you to cater? You just got hot dogs. You can do events. You can do flea markets. You can do horse shows or different types of shows. Okay, those are the places where the money is made. That's where you sell out. Okay, you pay a fee. Okay, a rent fee, and you raise your prices on your food to compensate for that fee. And just about every one of these events, they sell out. Okay. Don't worry about rain. If it rains on a Friday, usually everybody goes on Saturday. So you really don't lose out. You pretty much make out. All right, on the events, and that's what you want to do. And catering is an absolute killer. You will make a lot of money on catering. So you can make a business just out of catering. Um, the other thing that I hear a lot is people say, hey, why would I pay so much money for a truck? I'll just go build my own. Okay. Well, that's like the typical line that a lot of people would use in a negotiation. But in reality, it's not an option. Believe me. If you ever start building your own truck, it would cost you more money to build it than it would be to buy it off of somebody else. And the truth of the matter is, I've known so many people that have tried building them that never end up getting them on the road. The biggest problem that they have is with a food truck, the equipment inside of a food truck is not normal equipment. You just can't go into the appliance store and pick that stuff out. Okay, it has to be certain sizes. Most of the equipment is propane, so you're going to have troubles finding equipment that runs off of propane. It's a nightmare. I wouldn't suggest it. Okay, I don't think it's an option. When you get a truck, you may be able to add something here or there to it. Okay, but as far as building one from scratch, you're better off buying one. Trust me, you're better off buying one. I don't know how to repeat that 100 times, but um, I know there's a lot of handy guys out there that will want to try to do that. The other thing is fire sales. Okay, you're going to run in, you're going to see advertisements online, especially on Craigslist. All right, first of all, a lot of those ads on Craigslist with the abnormal prices, I'd say 99% of them are spam, phony ads. You reply to them, they don't have a phone number, and they're just bogus ads. In this day and age, nobody gives anything away for nothing. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for your food trucks. At the end of the day, you always get what you pay for. Okay. If it's too good to be true, and most of the time it is, especially in the food trucks that you see on Craigslist. There's very few fire sales. Usually when you see something real cheap, it's one of those cheap trucks that's broken down, that's missing a lot of things. That's just a problem getting it inspected by a health inspector, or it don't run. There's something wrong with it. There's a story behind it, and it's like a waste of time. But don't take my word for it. Don't leave any rocks unturned. Go take a look at them and see what you see. And some of you people have already probably done this and say, hey, this guy Frank, he knows what he's talking about. You're right. I know what I'm talking about because, since 11 years old, I've been in the food business. Okay. So the other thing is, okay, when you buy trucks, there's going to be two types of trucks. You're going to see the homemade truck, the school bus that's converted into a food truck, and you're going to see trucks that are professionally done by people that manufacture, food trucks. Okay, stay away from the homemade trucks. I know that they're cheaper. Okay, stay away from them. They're nothing but trouble. They're not put together correctly. I'll give you a classic example of what a homemade truck is going to be missing. Okay, if you ever walk into a homemade truck, okay, whether it's a camper, whether it's a school bus, or whether it's a van with a high roof on it or something, you're always going to find that inside, okay, the walls do not have stainless steel on them. This is a big thing, okay, because when you're cooking inside of a truck, okay, the food from the cooking emits grease, okay, and as it is, if your truck was stainless steel, it's still a nightmare to clean. It's a big task to clean a food truck, whether it's a professional one or not. But if it's a homemade truck and the interior of your truck is not stainless steel, okay, this is just one thing, okay, that I'm telling you. There's many things that I could sit here and tell you all day long, but the video would be too long. But if you buy a food truck and you're cooking in it and it's not lined wall to wall with diamond plated floors and stainless steel walls and interior, okay, you got yourself a nightmare on your hands, and it's going to end up being a fire hazard at some point because the grease is going to cook, it's going to stick to the walls, and it's just going to be one dirty truck that's going to be unsafe over the course of time. So my advice to you, okay, is if you're going to get into this business, do it the right way, because you'll put low money down and you'll get something, but you'll be sorry that you did. Okay, so the next thing would be financing a truck. Is it possible? Okay, is it possible? Sure, it's possible. Okay, but keep in mind that the banks only finance trucks that are new. They're not going to finance a truck that's 10 years old, 11 years old, 12 years old. Okay, if it's a used truck and it's 5 years old, 4 years old, there's a good chance you might be able to get it to be financed. Okay, but if it's an older truck, okay, which most of them are, you're not going to find anybody that's going to finance a truck. Okay, unless it's an owner finance, like I am doing, offering. Other than that, you won't find anybody who's going to finance a truck. Okay, it's a hard thing to do. You probably have to go for a business loan. Probably have to go that route, and that's usually a hard loan to get. So, can you do it? Sure, it's possible, but is it likely? Not really. And to tell you the truth, you better have really good credit. A credit score of over 700 will probably be needed, and still you're going to have to put a good portion of money down, you know, to do it. It's not going to be, you're not going to be able to put $1,000 down on a truck, and you're going to overpay for the truck. Okay. Now, why should you buy my truck? Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, of course, I'm biased about my truck, but you're buying a truck. If you buy my truck, you're buying a truck from an experienced person that's been in the business. Okay. I've been involved in the food business since 11 years old. I'm in my late 50s now. Okay. And I know what it takes to run a food business. Okay, my truck is set up that way, okay, for success. Okay, it's got options in it that you're not going to see. Even if you went out and buy a brand new food truck from some food manufacturer, you're not going to have all the options that my food truck has. If you look at all my other videos, which I definitely encourage you to do, all right, I point out some of the options on the food truck that you definitely need. Okay, and any food truck that doesn't have them, believe me, you're gonna realize this once you buy the truck. All right, you don't realize this stuff until you actually buy the truck and work the truck. But if you look at my videos, you'll be doing yourself a big favor, and you'll understand the value in what's in my truck and the way it's set up, and you know what you're going to need when you get out there. Okay. Because, just to give you a quick example, all right, and I have this all in my other videos, um, I got a cold plate refrigerator freezer, and a lot of trucks, 99% of them, unless they're ice cream trucks, don't have a cold plate. A cold plate refrigerator freezer stays cold. After you plug it in, it will stay cold for probably 8-9 hours. Okay, so basically what that does is it allows you to go on the road, and you don't have to power that refrigerator freezer, which is a big source of energy, the biggest source on the truck. That saves you a lot of time. Also, in addition to that, my truck plugs in. So wherever your base is, you can actually have an extension cord that runs to the truck, and it plugs in. I got a breaker box in there with receptacles. So you can actually keep your food on the truck overnight, which is huge because you don't want to unload that food and load it, unload it, and load it every single day and night. You don't want to do that. That's just one option. You go through the videos, you're going to see I have multiple options. Okay, so now you're interested, okay, in my truck after you went through my entire website. I encourage you to go through all the links. I even have a link with proof of everything that I had that say, and you know, I have a Carfax of my vehicle there. I have a receipt for a rebuilt engine, that I made a copy of that's on there. So I encourage you to go through the whole entire site, okay? Um, and I set it up with a video tour of the vehicle. I did this to make it very easy on everybody, so that they can get all their information in one spot, okay? For this reason, okay, I very seldom will I show my truck in person because there's really no need for it. If you go through my website, what you see is what you will get. Okay, and I do guarantee that everything, all the equipment in the truck is in working order. My guarantee is that if, before you buy it, I would go through the truck. If something's not working, I personally will be responsible to fix it. So you can rest assured that everything will be working. The condition of the truck is exactly what you see. Okay, so what I would want to do with you, if you're very seriously interested, a serious person, we will negotiate over the phone prior to even going to see the vehicle. I mean, because what I find in a lot of cases is that we're just not on the same page. I'm not really in any way. I'm very flexible to sell my truck. I offer a lot of options, barter, owner financing, a lot of different things. But I'm not desperate to sell it. Okay, I don't need the money. So, what I'd like to do is just get a fair price for the truck. That could be worked out over the phone. We could talk about it, and if we're in the same ballpark, all right, I would probably then ask you for proof of funds. A recent bank statement before I set up an appointment to go, to see it. And the reason why I do it is just I've had so many people that are just shoppers, that just are interested in the food truck craze that's out there right now, and they really don't have the money. I mean, they're not ready to buy. They don't have the money, and it just turns out to be like a total waste of time, of my time, just going out there and showing them the vehicle. So I would require all of that, and then then I know that you're serious and you're interested in buying it. And believe me, if you want to buy this truck, you won't find a better truck out there for this price. Okay, it's a great value for the money. And when you to really appreciate it, you have to work it, like I said, because the options that are on this truck are invaluable. There's a lot of thought process put into it. It's set up as a customer magnet. Okay, um, I would highly recommend it, and not just because it's my truck, but I know the business. I know what you need to be successful, and I think anybody that buys this truck would have it paid off in like 6 months, okay, which is unheard of, and you'd be making a lot of money, and it's cash money. And my truck is being sold as is, and it would be cash. If you're interested in contacting me, okay, I'd be happy to speak to you, but I do urge you to go through the entire site before you do call, all right, just not to waste each other's time. My phone number, direct cell phone number, is 732-423-5104. My name is Frank Bachetta, 732-423-5104. Please go through my site, and if you think that this is the truck for you and you're serious about it, then I encourage you to give me a call. I'd like to speak to you. Okay. Um, if you're in the information stages and you're doing your research, which you should before you buy a truck like this, then what I would suggest that you do is, instead of going all over the web I have some straightforward advice. If you can go through my site, you probably won't really need to go through too many other sites to get research. So I urge you to go through the site. All right. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was useful to you. Um, if you're seeing this on YouTube, my domain name is foodtrucknj, like New Jersey.com. Foodtrucknj.com. And I look forward to talking to you eventually if you're an interested buyer. Okay? Have a great day and good luck, whatever you do. Thank you.